Live, and here we are in Washington, D.C., right in the swamp, right in the middle of the deep state. And man, we'll have plenty to tell you about this trial later. And I'm also going to tell you, stay tuned because they have no idea what we're going to hit them with. No idea. You'll see. We've been working on it for some time. It's all prepared. Time to take the gloves off. When you're the Christian in the lion's den, in the Colosseum, and the 5 lions are attacking you, you can't play diddlywinks. We don't play diddlywinks. You'll see. So just have faith and confidence. They had a good time today by just talking and talking and talking. And we'll have a good time later by proving. Have we won every battle with them on who's telling the truth? Yes.
We certainly have, Mayor. And, you know, being in D.C., of course, you've told me about some of your previous experiences being here. Of course, you were number 3 at the Department of Justice under President Reagan. And I don't think, maybe it was in that role that you actually processed and investigated John Hinckley. Was that his name? The man who shot
the courthouse we were
Reagan.
In today. The courthouse we were in today, I think I used to know every little doorway, every little closet. I checked it out myself with Judge Webster the night that Hinckley was going to be arraigned there because Attorney General William French Smith wanted Hinckley arraigned in an open court, and we were not going to have anything happen. You know, that was close enough in time to the Lee Harvey Oswald situation. So that's really exactly what Bill Smith said. He said, we don't want a Lee Harvey Oswald. Let's make sure this guy gets arraigned the way Americans are supposed to be arraigned. A far cry from what they do in the District of Columbia now with the J6 people, huh? You know, where they just stick them off for 20 months, 30 months and let them rot in jails.
It's unfortunate. And so, Mayor, of course, this past weekend we had a big event in your hometown on Wall Street. Now, have you been to that place before? What was that?
Yes,
Cipriani's on Wall Street?
I was there last year for a big event, and the year before, come to think of it. Yeah, I've been there several times. Maybe 3, 4, it seems to me. It's a very, you know, it's a former bank that's been made into a catering hall, I guess you'd call it a catering hall. And of course, because it is Cipriani, it has extra special food, but it had an extra special guest. And that was, of course, President Donald J. Trump, who came and spent quite a bit of time with all the young people there, the Young Republican Club. You know, I guess, you know, if you compare it to the sitting, whatever we call them, if he came, he was, first of all, he would have been smelling all the girls' hair. That would have been bad. And of course, he would have probably fallen down those steps. Those are pretty steep. So it's probably better that he wasn't there. But I thought the president was, the president looks like he's in campaign form. I guess we put it that way, huh? He's in campaign form, and boy, he's running away from the Republican field. I think Biden is, I'd almost describe the Biden thing as he's running away from Biden, and Biden is falling away from him. I don't know which is it. Is it his momentum? Because it's carrying him in the Republican side. But I think some of it, in fairness, is Biden's sinking. The numbers this weekend for Biden were embarrassing, but not really when you consider what a disaster the man is. You know, they just leave out all the times that he's cognitively idiotic. If they ever did, somebody would just go pick him up and take him into a nursing home.
So we have some video from the event. So we're going to play this first clip. And this is Congressman Matt Gaetz, who had some words to say Saturday night in New York.
Rudy Giuliani is one of the greatest crime fighters who has ever lived in the United States of America. He took out the mob in New York. He took out the Rip Rollins and the Lulus. He put this city on his back to become an economic and political and cultural powerhouse. And if there were any justice in this world, they would never stop building statues for Rudy Giuliani in this country city.
That's how he caught the Bidens, by being the greatest crime fighter.
That's right. That's right. And of course, Mayor, I'm with you all the time, whether we're in New York, Florida, here in DC, everywhere in between, right? We've been to Ohio, Tennessee, Pennsylvania. We could name all these states. I mean, everywhere we go, people are thankful and they thank you. They don't just want to come up and get a picture. They thank you for your long, distinguished career in public service. Of course, you know, you were the man that took down the mafia, and you always give credit to others who helped, but without you, it never would have happened. It definitely would not have happened the way it did. And so you saved lives and really saved the city of New York and countless people just with that alone. Of course, you went on to serve as mayor of New York City, where again, you impacted more lives. And I want to be very specific here. You did more for Black Americans in that role as mayor than almost anyone in our contemporary history, right? And then, of course, with September the 11th and the way you comforted not just New York City, not just the nation, but really the world. And just a lifetime of public service. And you're not done, obviously. I mean, and everyone watching us here.
Well, my
some
son
will say
and Donald Trump, who have a lot in common, have in common the following. They say that the most important thing I'm doing now. Meaning vindicating the horrible attempt or bringing out the horrible corruption that is eating away at the top of our government. I was the first to bring it out. I was the first to bring it out on way back in 2019. And then I was the one to give the hard drive to the Post. Nobody else would do that except myself and Bob Costello. And of course, I've driven home all of these things. And so far, every time we've gotten to a conclusion, it is overwhelming. We're telling the truth and they're lying, which is what's going to happen with J6. It's what's going to happen with the stolen election. What's going to happen in court. Just have a little patience. It's going to happen in court too. Now, I'm not saying the court here in DC will do justice. A lot of reasons to be examined there, but we'll suspend that part. But you'll get the truth. So Jack Smith wants to go to the Supreme Court, and he wants the Supreme Court to decide in advance if presidential immunity applies to prosecuting a president for things that he did in the White House. And the first judge to get a crack at it said, with a dishonest intellectual analysis, that that's saying the president can do anything he wants. Well, here's what the doctrine really means. It is possible that Jack Smith's mind is not subtle enough to get this one part of it. After all, this is a guy that gets called for unethical conduct every time he has a case, including 9-0 by the Supreme Court. 9-0 by the Supreme Court. The presidential immunity that you're talking about is immunity not for committing crimes, but for doing acts as a president that somebody is then going to interpret as a crime. It's not as if the president shot somebody in the White House or maybe even put marijuana in a locker. Oh, Joe, maybe. Hunter. I mean, it could be anybody in the Biden family, I guess. So it is a close question, but it's not as broad and as seemingly irresponsible as they want to make it. It's when the president is acting under color of authority as the president of the United States. You can't prosecute him for a crime. Otherwise, you make it impossible for a president to carry out his duties. So we'll have to see. What Smith should also have reviewed by them is whether the statute applies. The statute they're using applies to his conduct, because that statute was intended clearly for people that were destroying or changing or altering documents, not for what he was doing. There's another statute that applies exactly to what he was doing, except it's only a 5-year felony, and he wanted a 20-year felony. So he used an inappropriate statute that doesn't cover it, which is why I say, and I could do that analysis for you anytime, I'll do it with a chart. Everything, there's not a thing they charge him with that's a crime. It's really uncanny. The Democratic prosecutors, not a single thing they charge him with that's a crime. Or let's put it this way. There's not a single thing that anybody else haven't been prosecuted for, which gives you a pretty good indication it's not a crime. And even if it is a crime, it's such a tangential crime. You don't use it against a candidate for president of the United States when your obvious motive is to try to stop him from being president, not because, gee, you're so worried about documents in Mar-a-Lago. You don't give a damn about documents in Chinatown from Xi Jinping. You don't worry about documents that he stole from the Senate. You don't worry about documents sitting next to the partner of a Chinese spy for a year. That's Hunter Biden. Documents right there in his house relate to China. Meanwhile, Trump gets indicted for taking documents home with him, not a crime, under the Presidential Record Act, reviewing them. According to the chief archivist, he kept them too long, and but he didn't do anything bad with them. He didn't make them available to the Chinese. Oh, by the way, you got to be a little careful with the chief archivist. Chief archivist won't give you the 80 sometimes or 80 or so times that Joe used an alias when he was communicating as a vice president. What do you think? Alias, vice president, all that money floating around the world. Hunter saying, I give half my income to my father, and we haven't convicted him yet. Shame on us. Shame on us. Our sympathy and our love and our prayers to the people of Tennessee who are going through a tornado. It's so terrible. Nature is so difficult and so difficult to explain and so difficult to deal with. We'd like to think we had more control over it, and we try with predictions and analysis, and it just reminds us of who we are and where we really fit in everything. Oh, the southern border. He's killing us. Wide open. Remember Mayorkas, I think it was the beginning of last year, when they have this whole new system. They were going to get control of the border. Yeah, they got control of the border so they can bring more people in to vote Democrat and go on dependency so we can become even more of a socialist country. And so he can help Iran get their people in. And by the way, he can help China get their people in. Here we are worried about terrorism. We got this war in Israel going on. We're worried about terrorism. We got a wide open border. Oh, and by the way, it's all women and children coming in. My backside it is. There you go. Pick out a woman in there. Let me see. Well, unless there's a transgender one. Unless there's a transgender one, I don't see no women in there. Maybe they look military age. What do you say? And these look military age, Ted, Dr. Maria. What do you think?
Definitely men battle aged. Battle age. You should have seen the thug looking men.
And this is just 12,000 came in one day. This is just a little.
They
picture.
broke a record again. Over 80 people were stopped on the terrorist watch list. That's where stopped. We know every time there's people stopped, there's more gotaways. You know what? I feel like a broken record, Mayor Giuliani, talking about the southern border. People like to twist it. I shouldn't say people, the radical left. There's plenty of Democrats who are scared to death, and it's about potential terrorist attack to Americans. It's about the fentanyl poisonings. But here's the really bad, evil thing, the sex trafficking of minors. Where is all these Hollywood women, #MeToo, sticking up for women and children that are raped on the journey?
I don't want to say where they are because I'll get in trouble.
They are going to go to hell.
City officials said that about 3,600 migrants were processed in Gotham the week after Thanksgiving, up 40% from the week before. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. More than 150,000 asylum seekers have come through. We got 66,000 we're taking care of. It's going to cost $12 billion out of your pocket. $12 billion out of your pocket. And it's due to one man and one man alone. This one right here, the one who doesn't know how to count. Always had trouble with numbers, probably why he was left back in the third grade. But how about this latest one? He's explaining all that he did. On my watch, instead of infrastructure week, America is having infrastructure decade. I don't see a single project, by the way. Infrastructure to him is giving out welfare. It's human infrastructure, which means let's ruin a human life and make it dependent. But listen to this part. Listen to this part. This is Joe Biden. Over $1.3 billion. I'm telling you, that's what it says. Over $1.3 billion, $300 million, Biden exclaimed. Trump just talks the talk. We walk the walk. Yeah, this is like when he built he wants to build a bridge over the Indian Ocean.
He did say that.
I know.
Hey, he's a train guy. He
So
loves
why is he
trains.
not in the crazy house?
He's a train guy, right? Doesn't he wear that hat and
Why
go from?
why is he not in the why is he not in the crazy house?
He's in the White House.
He belongs in the crazy house.
Because he's a good stool. He's
Yep.
a good stool for Obama, the globalists, the one world elite. He's doing everything they say, including this crazy climate stuff. That's a sham. It is a sham and a scam.
We're going to get them all on all the shams. I think we got them cornered on J6. I think with all with the video coming out, which is a sample of the rest of them, I think they're going to get buried as having exaggerated that way beyond what actually happened in order to bury Trump. That it's of a piece with Russian collusion, earmarks of Russian disinformation, all that one lie after another.
Mayor Giuliani, we're co-hosts together on Uncovering the Truth, a #1 radio station, show, by the way, WABCradio.com. I have felt guilty. I haven't paid enough attention to the January 6th prisoners. Our investigative reporter, Kara Castronova, has been on America's Mayor Live several times. Some of these people have not been able to get a bail. Some have been given excessive sentencing, epic times. I do push people to watch that documentary on J6. 4 people died that day. Ashley Babbitt was murdered. Roseanne Boylan may have been murdered. There's videotape conclusively seeing her being beaten. And 2 men had a heart attack outside who were just standing there, and these concussion grenades were shot down. Watch this video of the newly released J6 tape. There's a massive amount of people outside the Capitol just standing there, peaceful as all get out. They're in a lower position from some of the Capitol police officers who were in an upper position, who started throwing down concussion grenades into that crowd. That's how they believe 2 men had heart attacks. But if you have that being thrown at you and you really can't run because the crowd's so thick, you're going to get a little bit upset as well. And we also seen recently released tapes that showed Antifa police officers and FBI disguised as Trump supporters in the Capitol before the police officers opened the door and encouraged people to come in.
Held the door for them.
Yeah.
How do you explain that?
This is
Held
our
the door for them.
government. Doesn't it scare the crap out of whether you're a Democrat, Republican, Libertarian? This should scare the crap that your federal government uses the Justice Department to frame innocent people just because they're conservatives. It reminds me of what's going on the campuses that you've talked about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No question about it. I mean, it's really, it's hard to explain and impossible. It's impossible to really get a handle on it. Also, right now, if we want to control the border, Biden is giving them nothing. I mean, they're holding out for money for Ukraine, but so far he is intent on having that border open, bringing in all these illegals, because he thinks all he's thinking about is Democratic vote and dependency for a socialist state. But this is the biggest invitation to come and blow us up that has ever existed. And when we got people who want to blow us up, they've got the people trained to do it, and we're making it easy. We're making it easier for them to come in.
It's irresponsible. It's a dereliction of duty. It's disgusting.
You know, university presidents are really getting it. And I just want to show you what goes on with these hypocrites. All right, they say, you know, some of these universities are getting hit hard because they didn't do anything to stop the anti-Jewish speech. And they're saying, well, we can't do that. It's First Amendment. We can't stop anti-Jewish speech. Well, let's see how much First Amendment there is right nearby here, George Washington University, which is one of the worst. It's investigating students who have put up flyers that were critical of the Chinese government. Wonder how much money they get from China. I wonder how much money Washington University gets from China. Great place to spy on Washington, by the way. Be a professor at George Washington. Now, how about this? Princeton. Cancel an art exhibition of 19th century Jewish American artists because 2 of the featured artists had been Confederate soldiers. You want to go woke on me? How about canceling any appearance by a Democrat as long as they use the name Democrat because it's the party of slavery?
And the slaver in the KKK.
And now MIT, that's getting banged around any number of ways, canceled a climate change lecture by a geophysicist who, quote, dared to write an op-ed piece criticizing affirmative action. Better not go to a Latin mass. That's what the FBI concentrates on now. That's why they don't catch spies. So now we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about who's a dictator. Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now.
Packers and Giants game just started, I think. Oh, we're back on.
Welcome back. This is Rudy Giuliani, America's Mayor Live. And don't forget, T2T.org. Don't forget My Pillows either. This is Christmas time. Get the damn slippers so that Pop, that's what I'm called, can go out on Christmas morning and watch the babies open their presents in a beautiful, nice, warm slippers.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sincere when I say this. MyPillow.com products are incredible, good quality. You know what I like the best? Made in America, American jobs. MyPillow.com. Use code Rudy for savings.
Yeah. And all the communist stores are banging him out because he was for Trump. And he had the guts to say it was a stolen election. Well, there was a stolen election. There was. You'll see. It's going to be proven. So I want to point this out. I don't think I've done this on America's Mayor Live. I know I've done it on the Rudy Giuliani show on weekdays. There is a very lucky gentleman named Wayne Murray. Wayne Murray has won the lottery at 10 grand 2 years in a row, and he bought his ticket in the same place. And to be perfectly specific about it, the second one was the New York Lottery 200X scratch off. Got 10 grand on that one.
10 million, right?
Oh, 10 million. Sorry, 10 million. In August 2022, he got another 10 million playing the Black Titanium game. And the store is H&A Gas and Convenience on Avenue H in Flatbush, in case you want to give it a shot. Here he is. This is our friend Wayne Murray, and he took a $6,000 payout, a $6 million payout, rather, for the 10 million.
Mayor, what do you think of that? Has this ever happened? Somebody wins not just any lottery prize. He won a $10 million prize twice in the same city. Maybe he's not involved. It'd be very interesting to see how much of this is a coincidence. I'll just say that.
You are very, very suspicious, my friend.
But I can't. But I can't go any further, right? I can't. I have no.
You can't
proof,
go any
no
further.
reason
I mean, does it raise
say.
eyebrows? Of course.
And I'm not even blaming him, right? It could have been a botched effort by a third party.
I'm going to go with him now every time he buys one.
Yeah, we got to find out where he is. We've been trying to. We want to interview him. We want to interview him.
See what he does.
But he wants to remain. It sounds like he wants to be quiet. But then I saw him in a new car, the New York Post. So I don't know if the Post tracked him down or if he told him he was going to.
$150 grand car.
Yeah,
$150 grand Range Rover.
So, but the New York Post or some reporter was there.
Yeah.
So did he invite him, or did that reporter figure out where he was? How did that picture come to be?
He hasn't tipped anybody the story yet. Although they say he's a very nice guy. I don't want to get him in trouble, but
He hasn't tipped yet.
That's what it
but
says
but
here.
a reporter got a picture of him in the car. So the reporters must have found out where he lives.
They all know where he lives.
Oh, okay.
His neighbors say he's wonderful.
Okay. Well, a good man, and maybe he can share with us his pregame routine before he goes out and buys a ticket, right? Maybe he has a little something he does, right? Everybody's kind of got that. Some people have that superstitious.
So that indictment on the other day was the biggest fix. They left out every count, every crime, which were more serious and better proven, that had to do with Joe Biden. Just an example. They waited long enough so the statute of limitations ran on the tax evasion that would have involved the Ukrainian money, which would have traced back to Joe. They didn't do any of the Chinese money, which traces right to Joe. So this was another fix by a department that's got to get fixed, and that's the Department of Justice. And I'm afraid that under Biden, it's not going to get fixed, because for it to get fixed, he should be in the nursing home at Lewistown Prison, which where he would, I'm sure, be taken care of. I think they have vanilla ice cream there. And I'm sure the inmates would love to feed him.
So, of course, Mayor, a lot happening. This race for second place, of course, in the Republican primary. And even on the Democrat side, this, are you familiar with or is it Congressman Dean Phillips from the land of 10,000 lakes, which is, of course, Minnesota? Dean Phillips is making some, at least making some news.
What happens? Biden ready to resign yet?
Well, he called Phillips well, and of course the Washington Post and all of our friends came to Biden's defense. Dean Phillips is facing blowback. This is according to the Washington Post after calling Biden a threat to democracy. Which look, I mean, if you think of this,
Trump says he wants to be a dictator every day, which of course is a joke. He's just going to reverse the two things Biden did. Had Biden only done that, Biden wants to be a dictator for life.
Yep.
Mayor Giuliani, I have some insight into that. Apparently, Joe Biden once said that any president that uses executive orders is a dictator. Now, remember his first week in the office?
All he did.
That's all President Biden did. So Trump was just responding because the first day he will do some executive orders, it seems like, and it's got to do with our security, the border.
He's not acting like a dictator.
So he made a joke.
Yeah,
I want to be a dictator.
They don't allow him to make a joke. They don't allow it.
Yeah, he was referring to Biden's own words.
Yeah, it was a joke, but he was alluding to, the use of executive authority by these previous presidents. I mean, look at how, if you want to go down that route, calling people a dictator, how often did Obama use that executive authority to jam, whether it was these all these regulations on business? I mean, the guy couldn't put more regulations in place. And of course, as you've explained to me, when President Trump realized he could just knock off some of these regulations, he just took them all out.
Well, we certainly can say that we owe a lot of this to Biden. He is the one who started off with, we're going to challenge everything fundamental about our government. His wife made it clear that we're a stinking country. Obama's wife made it clear that it was a stinking country. The only good thing it ever did is like the communist president. And now they say she wants to run. I don't even know what her political views are. Just run because you're an Obama? Like he was a good president? My God, I mean, he started us on this. He certainly is the one who started us on the road to the Iranian sellout. He's the one who's got Russia into the Middle East because he was afraid to execute a policy of deterring Assad from using chemical weapons, threatened him 12 times, never did anything. threatened Trump once. Trump bombed him with 96 Tomahawk missiles. Didn't hear from him no more. What a difference. What a difference. What a difference a year makes in even. I mean, it's unbelievable. By the time Biden was in office, by 1 year, we already had one of the greatest embarrassments in American military history, Afghanistan, with the president double-crossing our troops and looking at his watch like this when he was coming back, standing there, looking at his watch at the ceremony, bringing the people back that he got killed. And how's he going to last? What is it? It's a little over a year, not the election, but the lasting in the White House.
And of course, Mayor, you were early in telling me and us, this audience, those of you that have been with us for all 296. Wow, we're hitting 300 this Friday episodes of America's Mayor Live. You've been telling us from the beginning of the inception of this show. You really don't know that you don't think Joe Biden's going to make it. And it's becoming increasingly clear. And now it seems that the Democrats themselves are waking up to this fact. Are you willing at this point to make any further predictions, giving us your insight on when this might occur or how it might occur? Will they ask him, we need you to step aside. Kamala's got this. We all know how.
I think there are a lot of Democrats that want to have that conversation with him. I think they're afraid to have that conversation with him. Not because they're necessarily afraid, because they know he's crazy. I mean, not crazy, he's demented. And which I guess is crazy. I don't know. So they don't know what's going to happen. Demented people can get very nasty and very vicious. And he has a streak like that. It's not as if he doesn't have it. And every once in a while it comes out. So I don't think people, you tell them. I'm not going to tell them. It's the kind of thing. And the family loves it because look at the money they're pulling in for Hunter's paintings. I mean, you think if Hunter went out on his own and started painting that stuff, he'd get 2 cents for it?
No, absolutely. There's no chance, right? There's no chance. And it's not even, it's not even an age thing. Some people want to criticize him for age. I actually, we should celebrate people in their 70s and 80s who are still active, providing wisdom to younger folks, right? Nothing substitutes experience and wisdom, right?
Absolutely.
And so we should celebrate that. Let's start there. So we should celebrate people like Mayor Giuliani, people like President Donald Trump, others even much older, right? Warren Buffett's partner, who 99, 100 years old, Charles Munger, and he was working. I know people that are 101 still going to the office a few days a week
and keep a very straight mind.
So it's not
and are
an
able
age
to contribute from their wisdom and experience.
You can lose your marbles at any age. Unfortunately, it does happen to it's more common as you age for this to happen.
Is really
and it's happened to him.
He had a marble deficit from the beginning, which is why he was left back and plagiarized and does all this stuff about, I have a higher IQ than you do. I have a higher IQ than you do. Impossible, Joe. Very few people have double-digit IQs. Possible, Joe. Don't go doing that and get yourself in trouble.
But even in the last few weeks, you are seeing something, and I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to say what it is, but what I see a man who, if I saw that, if I'm leaving the grocery store, right, and you see a man shuffling his feet the way Joe Biden does, I would watch and make sure that man made it safely across the street. And I'd look around and, someone like, and, he's not on his own because he's sitting in the White House. Someone like that can't be on their own.
Well, they
can't
don't
go to the store.
Take care of him. They let him walk up the stairs. It's always an adventure. They let him walk around the garden. He's occasionally gotten lost in those gardens, I think. Hey, Joe, where are you?
Yeah.
Do something with the stairs on Air Force One too.
And they shorten them?
Yeah, they have shortened stairs.
I don't know how they do that, but somehow
I don't know how
made
they
it.
did it. I think he doesn't come in. He comes in the bottom.
That's what he comes through where the package
Like a
is.
little mouse.
Yeah, when they put the luggage.
Let's have the mice get into the bottom.
Yeah.
When he opens that thing, a whole bunch of mice come in.
Yeah.
And rats.
So as we approach, wow, isn't it amazing? We're what, about a month away, maybe 5 weeks from the Iowa caucus.
Yep,
That's fast approaching. Of course, Nikki Haley's making a late push for the silver medal, and it appears that she seems to be doing well. And Ron DeSantis has himself a fight. With that being said, I guess all right. So we know who we're with. We don't have to, we're not pretending here. What advice would you give? Let's take out the names. All right. It's not Trump versus these other folks.
Right.
Someone's really far behind, and everyone's basically saying this, you're not gonna, what are you doing here? What would you tell that candidate if they were still dead set on staying in the race?
I'll tell them you have no chance of winning. I mean, you can stay in the race if you want, but tell me your purpose. What are you there for?
Because you have, of course, and some will say they're there because they have a message that a voice that needs to be a part of the discussion. Nikki Haley would say, she's
really furthering discussion. We can take in Ukraine.
Right?
Not Ukraine.
Palestinian
We can take in
refugees.
Palestinians
Send money to
and we can
Ukraine.
go to
Bring
war, and we
Palestinian
go to war in
refugees
Ukraine.
here.
That's really good.
Money out to Ukraine, refugees in from Palestine.
Right.
And then, of course, Governor DeSantis has his whole deal with Florida and how successful he was there. And so he would argue, look, my message needs to be at least out there.
Right.
And then there's Vivek, who we know and have talked to numerous times, and he's got an interest, kind of his own message. So the one I'm curious about, of course, right now, Chris Christie.
Oh, he's doing very well.
Well, but he will see it through New Hampshire, will he not? He'll stick to, and New Hampshire primary voters.
Now we present the former governor of New Jersey, Governor
Why'd you shut the bridge? Why'd you shut it down, Chris?
Yeah, right. Let me make my first point. My first point is Donald Trump is a creep. He has dirty underarms. He doesn't brush his teeth. He didn't hire me.
He swears that didn't happen, I think.
I don't know Chris Ray. Everyone's saying I appointed him. I don't even know him. Look.
Yeah.
I don't know Chris Ray.
But he'll stay in, I guess, through New Hampshire, right?
He can't move.
If he's That's too good.
Why are you laughing?
Hey, we will
He
not.
cannot move. I mean, you really have a bad mind. What I meant by that was he was hemmed in. That's why he can't move. You're constantly trying to put emphasis on the
You're
fact
speaking about
that
his
he's an
polling
out of
numbers.
control, completely undisciplined fatso. But
you're referring to his polling numbers.
you know the only one who would go after him on that is Trump.
Hey, no, President Trump would never, ever call the man a fat slob.
No, he would say, I would never say this. I was told when I was coming here by several people to raise the question of whether Christie, who is getting so fat and keeps getting fat over and over again, if he lacks the discipline. But I would never ask him that question.
Barbara Walters asked him. We're going to have to bring that clip up. Barbara Walters asked him, why?
She didn't seem to like him at all in the end of the year.
She didn't, but she doesn't seem to like many Republicans.
She likes me.
Oh, there's one. There's one. There. It's like
what? Yeah.
Barbara Walters. So, okay, let's take our second break and come back, and we'll hit the comment section. Lots of comments tonight.
Okay.
Our device is something that you can plug into your television, and now you can use your television as a social television type experience. So in the Portal universe, you can watch your favorite content creators' videos, live streams, music. We also have TV subscriptions as well.
TV subscriptions.
So you can also
regular channels, all the sports.
Right. You can actually cut your cable from your cable subscription and get QUX TV on our QX TV boxes. And you can pay half the price that you're currently paying for your cable television subscription. And you can get all the best premium TV channels and more. I mean, it's really, there's so much on there, Rudy. I mean, you've seen it.
No. I've seen it and I use it, and it's good. I mean, it's just exactly the same except for half the price. Plus, nobody is finding out what I'm watching, and that's not being reported to anybody.
Right. So you have absolute privacy using this device, which you don't have on other devices out there currently on the market.
This is absolutely great. QUX.TV is how you can find out about it. QUX.TV.
Use promo code RUDY to receive $30 off.
We're back.
I mean, come on, we gotta go tomorrow.
We're back. You mean here? And
Yeah,
this is a good room.
we're gonna be back here in Washington. I got to go back on trial tomorrow, which means I can't. Maybe by tomorrow I can talk to you about it, because big things are gonna happen at this trial.
Stay tuned. Big things.
Little Christmas music. We'll be far. Good, right? I don't know why it has to be a little Christmas. You want to have a big Christmas, you have a big Christmas too, right, Ted?
That's right, and we are in. That's right, and we are in Washington D.C. this week. As many of you know, you may have seen some of the coverage today. But no one does Christmas, and I can say this as a Midwesterner who's now living in New York. This is my second Christmas in New York, and no one does Christmas like New York City. And so, being in D.C., we've had it's quiet, first of all, and I was told that Congress actually came back into session this afternoon. So, but this morning, quiet. These streets here are quiet, right? And I lived not far from where we are now.
I don't live far from here either.
And you live not
Yeah,
far from here, and so we
yeah.
know this area pretty well. Since COVID, Mayor, even now, since COVID, it hasn't fully recovered.
Well, it's a different city from when I was here. A very different city.
And that, and even when you, but even pre-COVID, right?
Much more
Oh, when you were
crowded.
here, even with
It's
under
much more
Trump.
it's much more crowded, and of course, the politics are very dissatisfying.
You're saying it's much more crowded now?
No, I'm saying it was much
Yeah.
more crowded.
Yeah.
I should
Okay.
have that.
Okay. Yeah.
It was much more
Yeah.
crowded.
And it's just so that's what I've noticed about DC, and I get a different feeling when I'm here. It's sad in a way.
Yeah,
I
it
know-
is sad. It really is. And being in the District of Columbia Court makes me very sad because of the history, their place in history, which I don't know if they even realize it is going to be soiled so much by the January 6 cases where they just lost control of all rationality. You can't serve as a master to a political party when you're a judge. Well, it's going to get itself straightened out, I think. Thank God for the patriots that have worked on that. Thank God to them big time. So Stalin, toward the end of his career, had a big purge. And they think that Xi Jinping is doing that now in China, that he's trying to purge it down to just the most loyal people to him and just take things over completely because he's had too much interference. Be interesting to see if that happens. If it does, it means that the idea of a war is put off a bit. But I think there's a lot of calculation going on in Xi Jinping's mind. He's got a weak president. He's not going to always have a weak president. So is this the time to do something? Let's hope not, because I don't know how well prepared we are or we aren't. I just suspect we're not prepared that well. And we could use a couple more years of rebuilding, particularly our Navy. They have a bigger Navy than we do, and that shouldn't be tolerated. They have a bigger Navy, and they only have to worry about one. They only have to worry about one ocean. We have to worry about two oceans. So It's worse than you think. The only thing that's good about it is our ships and our weapons are of much higher value, but they'll catch up on it because they steal everything. They steal everything. And it's time to get really tough on them and straighten out that issue in the world, as well as many others, which we know that Trump can do, and the others, they just putz around it. They would just putz around it, and they are going to putz around when they explain it. He'll explain it in great detail, and let people know how he fixed it. So, what is going on between Green Bay?
Oh, Mayor, I was gonna give you an update. So, we're so busy with our show and everything we do, but I think it's probably bled through over the last 296 episodes that we're sports fans. I, being a Green Bay Packer fan, the Mayor, obviously
Giant
people
fan.
know him as Mr. Yankee,
I'm a Giant fan too.
but he's also a big New York Giants fan, and he's not afraid to pick. That's one thing about the Mayor in New York City, right? As we all know, they have 2 hockey teams, 2 football teams, two baseball teams. By the way, 3 hockey teams. You have 3 if you count New Jersey, 3 hockey teams, 2 football, 2 baseball, and now 2 basketball. The New Jersey Nets switching from New Jersey to Brooklyn, which is an interesting story on its own. And you're unabashedly, obviously, a Yankee fan, Giants fan, Rangers, if you had to pick.
Yeah, and the Knicks.
So,
but what's happening?
Oh, I didn't get to the game. Yeah. 0-0. And if you look at the crowd, Mayor, of course, we would be there if we were in New York. And I knew this would be the case because you had mentioned how Giants fans, if they're not doing so well, may choose not to make the trip out to the Meadowlands.
Maybe it's a cold night too.
A lot of Packer fans. If I'm looking and I can't quite see here, a lot of Packer fans, Packers just scored recently. So it's 7-0 though.
Ooh.
1 minute left in the first. And a packed house at the MetLife Stadium. A lot of I can't say for sure yet. Appears to be a lot of Packer fans. So 7-0. Nearing the end of the first. So we'll check that out as we prepare for day 2 this evening.
It'll be a great ending. So make sure you pick it up after we finish and we get you
a
into
great
that
ending or maybe a blowout. I hate to say it, Mayor.
No,
The Giants are not.
Maybe.
Look, Packers are on a hot streak.
Yeah, and Giants are too, but at a much lower level. They won 3 in a row, but at a much lower level.
Wait, 3 in a row?
Yeah.
Well, if you've won 3 in a row, that's right where we are.
Yeah, but they won it against weak teams.
And you don't have Jordan Love at quarterback. You have Tommy DeVito.
Tommy DeVito,
Mr. New
right?
Jersey, still lives with his parents.
Let's go, Tommy.
Loves what is it? Yeah, he visited he's got this local Italian restaurant. He did like pictures with all the fans at his local restaurant with his parents, and seems to be a good story there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So as we're winding down, we're checking out the comment section, Mayor. A busy night in the chat room.
What do we got?
A lot of respect for the Mayor. Why do we allow the Chinese to continue to steal our intellectual property? Of course, this is something that's been happening for years, Mayor.
Give
us some insight on that.
We are unduly worried about offending the Chinese. That's part of it. And second, some of our most important and elite people are flunkies of the Chinese. The Chinese have bought them, because they've bought into their businesses. They're enamored of that gigantic market that the Chinese have. They don't want to be shut out of that market because it's so much larger than ours. Any number of reasons why they would do that. It's a shame.
That's right. So I'm close. I'm watching this chat room closely. Let us know your thoughts. We got some other football fans in here. Good luck in court tomorrow, Your Honor. Now, usually that's I guess the Mayor. Is the Mayor referred to as Your Honor or the Honorable?
Your Honor.
Wow. But would you not? So you would. So if you were Mayor, I would, and I was meeting you.
You say, "Let's go, Your Honor."
No. Okay, I'm working for you. I say, Your Honor. You don't say Mayor.
Yes.
You say Mayor.
Yes.
Or could you say Your Honor?
You can say Your Honor.
let's say I'm meeting with you and I need a meeting with you. I guess who meets with the mayor? Do you have a lot of meetings with like when you're the sitting mayor? People meet with your staff, right?
Right,
If they're meeting with you, it's usually it's
It's
more of an
honor.
event. Yeah,
It's an honor.
it's an honor
to
and a
meet the
great
mayor.
privilege.
Let's see if we got a picture.
and a
City
great
Hall, we
privilege to meet with the Honorable
Well, I tell
Rudolph
you
W.
what, I'm gonna
Giuliani.
bow out just a little bit early. I'm gonna have you sit here
Okay.
and finish it up. Then I'm gonna come back for a little soccer time.
Okay.
Okay? I'm gonna take a little break.
Okay.
So put something on.
Yeah.
Body is an amazing chemical laboratory. When you give it the right chemistry, it functions the best. Balance of Nature is the ultimate whole fruit and vegetable chemistry.
Get 35% off your first order by using discount code RUDY.
So we are back, and I'm gonna throw my jacket on for you guys. I wasn't planning on sitting in the big chair tonight, but here we are. We're closing up here in just a minute. So thank you for sticking with us. Just a couple minutes here left on what's been a very busy Monday. And I'm going to apologize right now. You've got just me here working the camera. So I want to thank you again. Thanks to everybody here for your constant support of the mayor, everything that you do to support our work here on America's Mayor Live. Look, this is a man who dedicated his life to serving others, right? Whether it was his time as U.S. attorney, his time as mayor of New York City, of course, when he was doing everything he was doing after being mayor, where he really helped a lot of people in all parts of the world. People had his advice, his wisdom, his knowledge, his experience was sought after by so many. And so he's probably impacted more people in a positive way than any mayor or U.S. attorney in our country's history, I would argue. So we're talking about the man who took down the mafia. And of course, it wasn't just one person, but without Mayor Giuliani's efforts, there's a strong chance it doesn't happen. Maybe eventually it would have happened in a different era, a different time, but it certainly wouldn't have happened when it did and how it did. We're talking about a person who was elected mayor of New York City in 1993, and by the end of his second term in 2001, beginning of 2002, New York was transformed, right? The streets were cleaned up. People were off of welfare. Of course, the horrific events of September 11th, which came during the mayor's final stretch as mayor, that of course changed the world. And we're talking about a man who comforted not just New York City, not just the United States, but the entire world, right? We're talking about a man who, from the moment it happened, right, he made his way down to the towers that were on fire. And while so many rightfully were running away from danger, he wanted to be there, doing what he could as mayor and leader of the city at what was just its darkest hour. And he went towards the problem. He went towards the fire with the brave men and women of the NYPD, the FDNY, first responders, and presumably some volunteers who sacrificed it all so others may live. Mayor Giuliani made that decision that day that he was willing to sacrifice it all as leader of the city, because he understood that the people of New York entrusted him with their city, and it was his responsibility to be there for them at their darkest hour, and he certainly was. We're talking about a man who's had a positive impact on more Americans, more people, including Black Americans, right? Including what the left likes to refer to as minorities, right? I actually hate that term, but he really had a positive impact on these different groups, right, as mayor. because when you serve as mayor for all, as a leader, right, for an entire community, that's exactly what you are. You're a leader to all, not just to some, not just to a certain constituency. When you are elected, you are there to serve all. And that's what he did. And some of it was tough love. Some of it, people got on him for starting to crack down on the small crimes, the fare beaters. A fare beater, of course, is somebody who would jump the turnstiles, find a way to not pay for their trip on the subways. People got up in arms. The mayor started to crack down on those folks and other people that were doing other, just considered low-level crime, right, or infractions. Well, what's the big deal? They don't have any money. They need to get to work. Let them jump the turnstile. Well, if you allow those little crimes to go unchecked, it's only going to metastasize, right? It's going to kind of set the tone. Well, in this city, there's no respect for rules and for laws and for law enforcement. People just jump, if you don't want to pay for the metro or for the subway, you don't have to. And so while some looked at that as tough and unfair, others understood that, and the mayor understood, this is how you set the tone. This is how you set the tone. First of all, you're not doing anybody a favor by allowing them just to break the rules, right? And just to get on the subway for free. You want to encourage them to work, or at the very least, be resourceful enough to afford to pay for public transportation, to pay their share, right? So that's just one of countless examples, right, where he really was transformative in his methods and in his leadership style. The squeegee men, those of you that understand or that were around New York City back in the day, the squeegee men, there were these guys that would basically run up to your car with a squeegee in different parts of New York. And I apologize to New Yorkers. You could explain this much better than me, but in the short of it is they'd run up and, pretend, they'd say, we got to clean your car, but you got to pay for it, right? They were called squeegee men, but really what they were doing is, taking money from people, basically forcing their hand. You got to pay for this cleaning. So they run up to cars in groups and, give us some money, and people would give them a few bucks to kind of get them off their backs. Well, the mayor said that it's not happening in my city, right? But some looked at it as this small deal when others understood it. All goes back to what we talked about, right? Having respect for laws, for rules, the social contract. And it can come off as tough love, but you're not doing anybody any favors, right? By allowing them to break these rules. So again, we want to thank you for being with us this evening. We'll be here all week. We're not going anywhere. Thank you for your support. And it's just, I want to bite my tongue. I don't want to say too much right now. But generally speaking, I want to thank each and every one of you that have been with us for these past 296 episodes, or maybe tonight's your first time tuning in. But those of you that support the mayor, understand his contributions to this country, I just want to thank you. What I'm seeing up close with how some folks are treating this man, it's just an absolute shame. It's eye-opening for me. Right? The old saying, and this applies obviously to President Trump, it's not necessarily the mayor that they're after, although they are, right? I want to be careful here. They are. But they're doing it to send a message to the rest of us that if they can do this to Mayor Rudy Giuliani, a man who has done more has had a positive impact on more people than any mayor, any U.S. attorney in this country's history. If they can do this to him, what can they do to you if you are to challenge the status quo or question things? And so we're not going anywhere, folks. This is just the beginning. And as I've always told you, it's not always going to be easy. But a lot of things that are worth living for aren't easy, right? I mean, we're talking about a man, again, who took down the mafia. That wasn't easy. Cleaning up New York City with all the problems that they had in the late 80s, early 90s, that wasn't easy. Attending the countless funerals, everything that the mayor did on September 11th, the days, months, and years after, do you think that was easy? Of course not. And even more recently, the attacks against this great man, this man who's not just famous for being famous, he's famous because of what he's accomplished. And this isn't meant to be a knock on athletes or musicians or actors or these folks that become celebrities for all these different reasons and have these big followings. Because look, there's a lot of good people out there, but he became famous and earned his celebrity status because of what he accomplished for other people. It wasn't just, and again, nothing against guitar players or someone who's good at acting, right? They're famous because they're good at playing heroes on TV. Mayor Rudy Giuliani, he's the inspiration of a lot of these characters, right? When I think of your modern prosecutor and some of these, I would even say in contemporary our culture, a lot of times they seem to be modeled off Rudolph W. Giuliani, whether it's intentional or not, right? Think about it. Think about it. The mayor, when you think of, your classic big city mayor, the clean ones anyway, right? You think of Mayor Giuliani. So this is a man, again, who has lived it's almost like he's lived 1,000 lives, right? With everything he's accomplished. And we've only gotten through a portion of it. But I think it's important to remind folks of this. Because, look, we all know this. The victors write the history, right? They're the ones who record history and tell the story about what happened for future generations. And the problem is the good guys don't always win, right? There's no guarantee that the truth of this era will come out. That's why we're not going to stop. That's why we refuse to shut up, and we won't go away. And that's why I'm dedicating everything I can to supporting this man and what he's doing, because he's earned that. And I want to thank those of you that are with us each and every day, and those of you that can't give us an hour each day, but join us when they can and support the mayor in all sorts of ways. We'll be back with a lot more. I'm sorry, I'm a one-man band right now, so I have to actually get up and head over to the other side to shut this thing off. But I do want to thank all of you. We'll be back tomorrow. God bless all of you. God bless Mayor Rudy Giuliani. And of course, God bless our country. And may God empower the people to take this country back. I hate to say it. I'm afraid we've already lost the country. With what I'm seeing and with what I've experienced up close over the past few months and year, folks, I'm afraid we've lost the country. And what can keep us going and what gives us hope is the fact that I know we can take it back, and we have it within us to do that. So please stick with us. Join us again tomorrow night. We'll have more. And once again, God bless you. God bless Mayor Giuliani, and God bless America. Thank you.